Welcome to BeFM Drama, where we turn great works of English literature into gripping radio. I'm your host, Joshua Cornwell, and today we're bringing you the first episode in a 5-part adaptation of A Dream of Armageddon by H.G. Wells. This strange and compelling work of Victorian-era science fiction begins with two strangers in a train car, one of whom has been shaken to his core by an awfully persistent and vivid set of dreams.
The man with the white face entered the carriage at Rugby. He moved slowly, and even while he was still on the platform, I noted how ill he seemed. He dropped into the corner of the compartment across from me with a sigh and became motionless, with his eyes staring vacantly. After a few minutes, he noticed me looking at him. He looked away a moment, then glanced again in my direction. I pretended to read my book. I feared I had embarrassed him. But after a moment, I was surprised to find him speaking. I beg your pardon?
That book you're reading, it's about dreams.
Obviously. It's Fortnum Roscoe's Dream States. You can read the title on the cover plain as day. The man held silent for a moment, as if he sought words, then spoke.
Yes, but they tell you nothing, those books.
I did not catch his meaning for a second.
They don't know.
I looked a little more attentively at his face.
There are dreams, and there are dreams.
I couldn't argue with that.
I suppose, do you ever dream? I mean, vividly?
I dream very little. I doubt if I have 3 vivid dreams in a year.
Ah, your dreams don't mix with your memories? You don't find yourself in doubt? Did this happen or did it not?
Hardly ever. Except just for a momentary hesitation now and then. I suppose few people do. The man indicated the book I was holding.
What does he say about it?
That such a thing might happen at times. He gives the usual explanation about intensity of impressions and the like. I suppose you know something of these dream theories?
Very little, except that they are wrong.
He leant forward almost as if he would touch me.
Isn't there something called consecutive dreaming that goes on night after night?
I believe there is. There are cases given in most books on mental trouble.
Mental trouble. Yes, I dare say there are. It's the right place for them. But what I mean, is that sort of thing always dreaming? Is it dreaming, or is it something else? Mightn't it be something else?
I'm not sure I'm qualified to give an opinion.
I am not just arguing about a matter of opinion. The thing is killing me.
Dreams?
If you could call them dreams. Night after night. Vivid. So vivid. This landscape streaming by the window seems unreal in comparison. I can scarcely remember who I am, what business I am on, even now.
The dream is always the same, do you mean?
It's over.
You mean...
I died.
Died?
Smashed and killed. And now so much of me as that dream was is dead. Dead forever. I dreamt I was another man, you know, living in a different part of the world and in a different time. I dreamt that night after night after night, I woke into that other life, fresh scenes and fresh happenings until I came upon the last.
When you died?
When I died.
And since then?
No. Thank God. That was the end of the dream.
It was clear that I was going to hear this dream. And after all, I had an hour before me. The light was fading fast, and Fortnum Roscoe was a dreary read. Living in a different time, do you mean in some different age?
Yes.
Past?
No, to come. To come.
The year 3000, for example?
I don't know what year it was. I did when I was asleep, when I was dreaming, that is, but not now. Not now that I'm awake. There's a lot of things I have forgotten since I woke out of those dreams, though I knew them at the time when I suppose it was dreaming. They called the year differently from our way of calling the year. What did they call it? I forget.
He sat smiling weakly. For a moment I feared he did not mean to tell me his dream. As a rule, I hate people who tell their dreams, but this struck me differently. I even encouraged him to start. It began?
I seem to wake up in it suddenly. And it's curious that in these dreams I am speaking of, I never remembered this life I am living now. The dream seemed enough while it lasted. I don't remember anything clearly until I found myself sitting in a sort of loggia looking out over the sea. I had been dozing, and suddenly I woke up, fresh and vivid, not a bit dreamlike, because the girl had stopped fanning me.
The girl?
Yes, the girl. You must not interrupt or you will put me off. You won't think I'm mad.
No, you've been dreaming. Tell me your dream.
I woke up because the girl had stopped fanning me. I was not surprised to find myself there. I did not feel as if I had fallen into it suddenly. I simply began from that point. Whatever memory I had of this life, this 19th century life, faded as I woke, vanished like a dream. I knew all about myself, knew that my name was no longer Cooper but Hayden, and all about my position in the world. I've forgotten a lot since I woke. There's a want of connection, but it was all quite clear and matter of fact then.
He hesitated again, gripping the window strap, putting his face forward and looking up at me appealingly.
This seems bosh to you.
No, go on. Tell me what this loggia was like.
It was not really a loggia. I don't know what to call it. It faced south. It was small. It was all in shadow except for the semicircle above the balcony that showed the sea and sky and the corner where the girl stood. I was on a couch and the girl was leaning over the balcony with her back to me. The light of the sunrise fell on her ear and cheek, her pretty white neck and the little curls that nestled there, and her white shoulder were in the sun, and all the grace of her body was in the cool blue shadow. She was dressed, how can I describe it? It was easy and flowing. And altogether there she stood, so that it came to me how beautiful and desirable she was, as though I had never seen her before. And when at last I sighed and raised myself upon my arm, she turned to face me. I have lived 53 years in this world. I have had mother, sisters, friends, wife, and daughters. All their faces, the play of their faces I know, but the face of this girl, it is so much more real to me. I can bring it back into memory so that I see it again. I could draw it or paint it, and after all, the face of a dream. She was beautiful, not that beauty which is cold and worshipful like the beauty of a saint, nor that beauty that stirs fierce passions, but a sort of radiation, sweet lips that softened into smiles and grave gray eyes, and she moved gracefully.
He stopped, and his face was downcast and hidden. Then he looked up at me and went on, making no further attempt to disguise his absolute belief in the reality of his story.
You see, I had thrown away my plans and ambitions, all I had ever worked for or desired for her sake. I had been a powerful man in the North, with influence and great reputation, but none of it had seemed worth having beside her. I had come to this sunny place with her and left all those other things to decay and ruin. Besides her, all life had seemed vain and hollow, dust and ashes. It was dust and ashes. Night after night and through the long days I had longed and desired to run away with her, though my soul had beaten against that forbidden thing. But we'd done it. Come away and left them in their crisis to do what they could to hold the pieces.
Left whom?
The people up north. You see, in this dream anyhow, I had been a big man, a leader, a sort of symbol. Millions who had never seen me were ready to do things and risk things because of their confidence in me. I had been playing the game for years, that vague, monstrous political game, amidst intrigues and betrayals and agitation. It was a vast, chaotic world, and I had a sort of leadership against the gang. You know, we called it the gang. A sort of compromise of scoundrelly projects and base ambitions and vast public emotional stupidities and catchwords. The gang that kept the world noisy and blind year after year, all the while that it was drifting ever closer to infinite disaster. But I can't expect you to understand the complications of that future year. The dream year was somewhere ahead in time. When I awoke, I sat up on the couch and looked at the woman, rejoicing that I had escaped away out of all that tumult and folly and violence before it was too late. After all, I thought, this is love. Love and beauty, desire and delight. Are they not worth all those dismal struggles for vague, gigantic ends? And I blamed myself for having ever sought to be a leader when I might have given my days to love. You are worth it, I said, speaking without intending her to hear. You are worth it, my dearest one, worth pride and praise in all things. Love. To have you is worth them altogether. And at the murmur of my voice she turned about. "Come and see," she cried. I can hear her now. "Come and see the sunrise upon Monte Solaro." What might be the meaning of this strange and vivid dream, this dream which seems so much like the true life of another person in some tumultuous future time? Why has the man in the dream fled to the sun-drenched paradise? And what are these northern crises of which our shaken dreamer speaks? Find out tomorrow evening in part 2 of A Dream of Armageddon here on BeFM Drama.